to the Satsang here at the Hadekandi Universal Ashram in Crestone, Colorado. And I'm Ramloti, and this is Jonathan, who also lives here. And we're happy to have Kumuli here from Sweden. Thank you. And Pujari's here from Russia. He's sort of a regular moderator here as well. And it's everyone's opportunity to ask questions. And you will have to unmute yourself for that, but please keep muted otherwise. So we'll begin with, and hopefully Maria Elena will get on the phone, on the line as well soon. So welcome, Kumuli. Can you just share what you would like to share about, particularly about sort of, how did all this happen?
Well, you say this.
Well, Baba, how did Baba happen in your life?
Well, since I was a child, I was looking for God, and I was talking to God a lot. And then I asked God to show himself. And to my amazement, he didn't. And I was shocked by it. I was really, really shocked. I was shy and I was shocked. And then I began to doubt, but I was still looking. And later on in my teens, I became agnostic, and then I became I was close. I had some death experiences, close to death, near death experiences. And in the latest, some psychic later on said I died. But when I woke up, my first thought was, thank you, God.
Dobro, ne možeš više dobiti jedan danas. Imaš bombone na stolu, odi van, ja sad tu imam nešto.
Katrina.
Sorry.
No problem.
Okay,
Tatjana also has to mute.
Oh, sorry.
Sorry.
Okay, great. All about it. Well, my first conscious thought was, thank you, God, for allowing me to live. And that was very, it was really, really shocking again to me, because I knew that I wanted to live, but I didn't know how to live. And soon after that, I had life experiences, and I met people who helped me on my way. And I did Course in Miracles for 2 years. And
Sorry. Redmi Adash, you need to mute yourself, please. Redmi Adash, can you please mute yourself?
Okay.
Thank you.
okay. So I did a Course in Miracles, and so I was Christian. I was raised up Christian. However, my mother did not believe, but my grandmother believed. And then one day I was working at therapeutic center in Stockholm, alternative, and I was selling tickets for the evening seminar, and it was a guy named Leonard Orr seminar, and suddenly the seminar room was filled with Om Namah Shivaya, and I left my job, I left my desk. I had to go inside the room, and I took the money box under my arm, and I went inside the room, and I saw this stunning picture of Babaji, where he has his eyes open and yellow stripes. And I I was just, I just knew I had to go and see him. And at the time I was studying psychology at the university. And I had to go back the next day to the university. And Leonardo, he went to some place to teach rebirthing. And I missed all this because I had to be at the university. And I felt it was such a high price. So I left the university a couple of weeks later. And I sold most of my things, so gave it away, and went to see Babaji. I wrote him and asked if I could come and see him. He said I should come before December, the end of December 1980. And it took me almost that year to come and see him, to go and see him. I was postponing. But that's how I got to meet him. It was a childhood desire, and it was my life's biggest event, except from being born. You know, so it was, yeah. It was it changed my life. When I got back from Babaji with shaved head, Mundan, my sister cried. And my family, they don't understand Babaji, and they never ask about him. But he's the biggest thing in my life, and he's tolerated by my family.
So you got there in late 1980?
Yes, December.
And what was that like when you arrived and saw Babaji?
Okay, so when I was walking up the stairs, I was afraid I would bow down to the wrong guy. You know, that I would not recognize him. And when I reached the top of the staircase, Babaji was coming out from his quarters. And he just looked at me. And I became very still. And someone said, bow down to his feet. And I took a few steps, and because he had stopped. And I bowed down to his feet, and it was very easy. But he didn't say anything, and he was looking at me deeply, but without smiling or doing anything. You know, he was just being very present. And then he walked past me and sat down. And then I heard inside on me, come sit next to me. And I was very joyful first, but then I got very fearful and thought maybe, you know, why would he want me to be so close to him? And I was afraid that I had misunderstood. And he gave me a glance, half a second, to confirm. But still my mind was going on, you know, why? I was telling him how to behave. So in a way, you know, I pretended I was surrendering, or I had been trying to surrender by bowing down to his feet. And then within the next minute, I'm telling him how he should behave by attacking him with my thoughts. You know, if you're my teacher, if you're my guru, you should tell me loud and clearly so I can understand. and blah, 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 you know. So I made myself very miserable. And I did not trust him and me together, you know. But then the next day, we were about 30 people at the ashram in that time. And he asked, who would like to come for a walk? So he invited all of us, and everyone wanted to go, of course. So we walked, and we ended up at the man's house who had found him the first time in the cave. It's a farmer. And they had emptied the storehouse to make it a darshan room for Babaji. And somehow, I was right after Babaji, and he went into the room, and it was an energy wave that carried me to sit next to Babaji. You know, suddenly I was just sitting there next to Babaji, and he was showering me with his love. It was. It's very difficult to describe it with words, you know, you cannot really describe it, but it was very beautiful, it was joyful, it was light, it was actually, it felt like golden streaming light, and it was also white light and golden light, and it was playful and innocent. But then he saw a bug, and he went after the bug with a stick, pretending to kill it. And you know, my mind said, you know, if you die, you should not kill, and so on. And the bug escaped inside the wall. So he didn't kill it, but you know, I was. It was very difficult for me to receive the love of Babaji. So after a short while, you know, my mind said, you know, why do you love me so much? You know, what you said? Do you want to marry me? Do you want to have sex with me? You know, I was just totally. I didn't know really what to do in that field of love. And then he turned away his head, you know, because he understood I couldn't take in more, and he began to give his darshan. And I was repeating, Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya. I was so embarrassed about my thoughts, terribly embarrassed. And then a woman came and gave him a rosebud, and he received it so gracefully. And then he turned to me and he gave it to me. And I received the rosebud, but my thought was, shit, this is just a rosebud. It will not last. And before that had happened, I had seen his movements. He had a golden bracelet with diamond saying Om Namah Shivaya. And this was all the time in front of me. And I wanted him to give me this bracelet as a token of his love. And he did, of course he did. And so then he gives me the rosebud, and my mind says, shit, it's just a rosebud, it will not last. And then it was more intense. Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya. I was so embarrassed about all this. And suddenly, Babaji and I, we were alone. All the people were gone. And he said to me, "You smoke?" And I said, "No," because I did not want to leave my place. And then came the thought, you know, I understood I had lied to Babaji because I was smoking cigarettes at that time. I had been smoking for 16 years. And then the following thought was, if I never ever smoke again, I have not lied. So, and I felt so relieved, you know, I would never ever smoke again. So, you know, I was innocent again, you know. And then 2 weeks later, I realized that I had not been smoking. So he lifted that addiction of mine, 16-year-old addiction, like this, you know, from me. Yeah, and then later on, in the ashram, a couple of hours later, I'm walking up the stairs. Babaji is coming down, and he's chewing on a straw of grass. And he looks at me. He stops. You know, we stop. We meet, and he gives me the straw. It was not even green. It was yellow. And I take it. I receive it as if it's been the golden bracelet. So just to receive something like a grass or straw from his hand made me so happy. And then in that moment, the straw dematerialized, you know, in the wind. It became dust. But that was my 2 first days with Babaji.
Beautiful,
Wow.
beautiful.
A lot, yeah. I'm just yeah, amazed how cognizant you were of all your thoughts, and how
Oh yeah.
yeah, because I don't know, it seemed like for me I was just like, I don't remember thinking about my thoughts so much. I don't know. I think I was just sort of so blown away, maybe. So your interpretations are very beautiful and helpful because,
Thank you.
you know, and honest.
Yeah.
Right.
Truth, simplicity, and love. But you know, I was very, very conscious when I was sitting next to him about my thoughts. But the incident when I had just met him and I heard him say, "Come sit next to me," that memory came much later.
Uh-huh.
You know, for many, many years, I did not remember it.
Mm-hmm.
And I had a few experiences with Babaji where there were time lapses. You know, I'm close to him, and then suddenly, like the last morning before I left the ashram, he had invited me to come for the Havan. And so I remember sitting at the Havan, getting chandan and sitting at the Havan with a few few people. And then my next memory is I'm fully prostrated at his feet in front of his feet. And I was alone with him again. I don't know what had happened in between. And he gave me a mantra. And that was the last it was just maybe 2 or 3 hours before I left the ashram. And when I left the ashram, actually, at that time, it was in December or January, it was New Year, 84. So it was 6 weeks before he passed away. And I was, I had a difficult time in Harakan. I felt I had a difficult relationship with him. And I thought, you know, why are you my guru, you know, when I have this last relationship with you? And I did not want to stay, actually. It was very difficult. And so I was glad to leave. I was there for 7 days and it seemed too long. But after he had given me the mantra, I went out and I cried, and I could not stop crying. And then it was art in the morning, and then it was darshan in the garden, and I was in a line to say goodbye to Babaji, and I did not want to cry. And I could not intellectually understand why I was crying, because I wanted to leave. But I was crying, and then I thought that I should constrain myself, you know, so I wouldn't be crying in front of, sobbing in front of Babaji. So I controlled my feelings, and I prostrated, and he put his feet on my head, and I was just filled with the most incredible joy. So I left Harakan so joyful and so happy, and it was so beautiful. But on my way out, so he was sitting in the garden, and I was leaving him. He was behind my back, and I walked maybe, it was a short distance. And then he was standing again in front of me and blessing me. And then it happened once more when before I walked down the staircase. So, you know, he was, what's so beautiful with Babaji is, I feel he loves me always. He is always there. And that's he's so close. That is the best thing. Yeah.
So does anybody have any questions for Kumuli?
Well, I would like to ask something, because as a
Yeah.
child you were would like to see God, and can you say something more about how you saw God in Babaji, or if you saw God in Babaji?
Yes, I can. First, it was, you know, he has changed my perception of God. It's like he has opened me up to God. Before, God was there, and I was here, and it was a big distance, and it comes from within and it goes out. This God, it's like a being in God, and but it's very difficult to speak about God. To me, it's formless. It's not. Babaji is probably the highest energy I've experienced. And I mean, it's wrong to say highest also, you know, it's to me, to my childish self, Babaji is God. The form, the Harakan Baba. However, he's much more. He's for sure his nature. For sure he is. I think it's so interesting when we meet. You know, sometimes it's without being aware of it. It's like Babaji is speaking through me, or Babaji might be speaking through you to me. You know, it's nothing that I can predict. You know, it happens. Do you recognize that?
Yes, completely.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah. So it's
He's everything, so he can touch you in every way. And we can be lost in every second, but he's still there. But we can feel very lost, but he's still there.
Yes, yeah. And it was lost, I felt, the last time in Harakan, you know. I felt when I said I didn't want to be there, it was very difficult to be there. And then I hear Raghuveer talking about how beautiful it was, you know. Christmas, the last Christmas and New Year in Harakan, 83 and 84. Thank you for your question.
Yeah, happy. I can continue if you, his omnipresence, omniscience, these qualities of the divine. Can you have you some experience that Babaji knew everything? Let me leave it there. How was that impressive to you? How Babaji knew so much about you, about the world, about the universe? You have some experience of that? His Baba's omniscience, omnipresence.
Yes, you know, when I was sitting next to him that second day, I felt he was reading my mind. You know, that's
right.
That's why it was so embarrassing. But as Raghuveer says, you know, it's also safe because he still loves you, even though he knows, you know.
Yeah.
The shadow side. Yes, Babaji, when he used to ask me, "What's your profession?" And I never knew really, you know. I haven't. I'm a dropout of university. So, but then I said, "Oh, I'm a rebirther." Oh, he said rebirther. And then he asked me the next time. He said, "Oh, I'm a body worker." You know, it's what I never knew what I was, and I usually when people ask me, "What are you doing?" You know, I say what I make my most living on. You know, if I'm a shop assistant or if I'm a substitute teacher or you know, whatever. But so somewhere he knew that I had a problem getting a profession, you know, because I don't think he asked other people, you know, what's your profession? Did he ask you?
Well, indirectly, there was a Indian family sitting with him, and I was also there sitting with them. And then that family was asking me what was my profession. but I had no clue. I didn't have a profession anymore. I gave up everything. I was just with Babaji. That was, but I was a rebirther also before. So then Babaji answered to that family, he's rebirther. So he gave me a profession that this family was understand from, okay, this guy is, but I was doing the puja at that time already. So he said, in Europe, what is your profession? I said, okay, I'm a rebirther. That was safe at that time. So
yeah, that's good. Yeah.
but I did not really relate very deeply to that, although I did it a lot and I love it and it's a beautiful practice, but it's he gave me that as a profession, so I didn't have to worry about it anymore. It doesn't matter, but okay, you have a stamp
Yeah.
for those people who needed something. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Also, he asked me my profession. But like the second or third day I arrived, he said, "What is your profession?" And at the time I was teaching aerobics, Nautilus, all that kind of stuff at the New York Health and Racket Club in Manhattan. So I said, I'm an exercise instructor. And he said, "Okay, you big stones."
You
I
big,
regretted
what did,
you,
Gayatri, what did he say?
you big stones. Meaning boulders. He had me working with the guys moving boulders with like metal poles. Oh my God, I regretted telling him what I did the whole time because it was a lot of work.
He told me I was a shopkeeper. He said, "You shopkeeper." Like I didn't work at the shop in Harakan, and but now I see, you know, that's one of my jobs here is I run the Mahalakshmi shop. So it's like, okay, Baba,
Yeah.
whatever you want.
Okay, something that comes to my mind about how he knew what was going on. It was, I came to see him with a Swedish man whom I felt he was embarrassing because he was peculiar, you know. So he was, to me, he was peculiar. So I felt he was embarrassing. And then also I came along with a woman I didn't know, but she, I felt she was very ugly and she didn't do anything to make herself look nice. And I was embarrassed coming with these two people to Baba, you know. I kept a distance, you know. I didn't want to be too close, but we all had to sleep in the big Indian bed in a hotel on the way up to Harakan. So the three of us slept together, but still I wanted to keep a distance to them. And I was so angry at her for making herself ugly. And then one day he invited me to come and join him, and I think it was Muniraj's daughter. She was very beautiful and very, very exquisite in her Indian womanhood, and everything she did was so exquisite. And she was serving Babaji tea. Of course, she had servants who helped her, but you know, she was pouring, and Babaji invited me very gracefully to come and sit. And I was clumsy. I felt like an elephant. I didn't know how to wear my sari, and I was a bit fat, and I wasn't exquisite at all, you know, like she was, you know. So he was mirroring it back to me, you know, how I, you know, the anger I had to the woman was the anger I had to myself for not being good enough, you know. And I could not stand it for long. They were having such a pleasant time, and they were so nice to me, but I couldn't stay there for long. And then I went to do karma yoga, and then I felt happy again. Another time, Babaji asked me to wait for him outside his quarters. There was a tree, and I waited and I waited and I waited, and he didn't come. So I said to myself, if you are God, you know I'm waiting here, and you know you're doing this on purpose. So I'm not going to wait any longer. So I went back to my room and I put on my karma yoga clothes, and I went to do karma yoga. And then he was sitting with a group of people. I saw him in the garden. And from a very long distance, he laughed at me and he threw a fruit, and it landed in my hands, from a very peculiar angle and things, it just landed there.
He was very good at that.
Yes, impossible. Better than Zlatan. Do you know who Zlatan is? Have you heard about Zlatan? It's a Swedish football player, He is. He can do impossible things.
Okay.
But Babaji, no, he was in another class. And so I was, we felt good, both him and I, I was doing karma yoga, and he was, he was rewarding me for doing the karma yoga.
Right.
Mm.
May I ask you one question?
Yes, of course.
So when you, so first thing, thank you so much sharing your beautiful stories and, all the wonderful time with Babaji and how you have shared everything so openly, it's not only I really love it, but also I have a question now. How do you feel now? Did he transform you completely? Like, how you were, just the simple story you have shared, that the people you were, how he mirrored you to show the people you were with them, you were not liking them, then suddenly he mirrored you with the other person, So how this journey of the life, did it transform you? Now, how do you feel to yourself now?
Well, it's interesting that you ask, because right now, I think sometimes I can feel, I have grown a lot since I first met Babaji. But also, it's so much longer than I thought, It's harder. I think it will take much longer than I thought to get enlightened, I don't know when I will get enlightened, or, when. But, then I thought that I would say Om Namah Shivaya, and I would do the arti and and I would get enlightened, and right now in my life, I think I have a very long way to get enlightened. It's longer than I thought, and it's much more. But it has been a joyful way. It has been a very wonderful way. So I don't really mind. I try to do my best, and it's difficult to say how much you changed. Yes, that
you already have changed. You're already enlightened by meeting you and bringing this rawness, what you are sharing with the world, you know, you already have enlightened and you have already transformed to, you can bring your truth out, you know. It's just, you already have shared that to, you can compare those things and share that. You already have touched that, because I did not meet Babaji, and I'm very curious who met Babaji and how they have a truthfully, you know, because while you open so truthfully your all the how the you have been this to, you know, most of the time we share the good things, but you did share where you were and how you have, you know, he mirrored you. And I was really, you know, how does this whole journey, you know, it's a I don't know it's a right question or not, but I do enjoy your answer, and thank you. And I feel you already have a transformed by sharing with the world how you know, when only we can share that, you know, what you, when we feel it, you know, that's already the path to transformation in my basic, you know, zero knowledge of the anything. So thank you so much.
You're so welcome.
Kumuli, I share Shashi's question a little bit, because you were I really appreciated your candor and how you shared with us the thoughts going through your head, like, oh, this one's ugly, so I'm going to stand back from her, kind of disassociate, and this one's weird. And I think what I also would like to ask is, okay, maybe now that thought may come again, but do you see it as just do you give credence to that kind of thing anymore, or can you see that those thoughts are just thoughts, and you wouldn't distance yourself from someone who you see as ugly now? That's the change. I'm wondering if that has changed at all, or are you still just have those thoughts and act on them? Yeah.
Yes, thoughts like that. I still have those thoughts, and but more often, if they repeat, you know, if they repeat in my life, I know I have to move through them, you know. I have to look at the situation. But if it's just something that happens and then it's gone, you know, it doesn't appear again. But if it reappears, for sure. And then it's always rewarding, you know. And most of the time, in those days, I was very angry. And I'm much less angry today. And I'm much more peaceful. And when I get angry, or if I get nervous or something, I can only stand it for a short time, you know. So I you know, I say, you know, this is odd, you know, this is not me, you know, it's, or, you know, I do something to feel better, you know, instead of having that emotional temperature, you know, going on for a long time. How are you feeling? Yes?
I'm feeling very good.
Good. Okay.
I realize, yeah, I realize I just love so much everybody. No matter what they look like, no matter what comes out of their mouth, that's my medicine, I think, is just love. I love everybody. So. Yeah.
But that is something that's Gayatri, that's the thing to beauty that Babaji showed, and also what Kumuli is saying here, that Babaji had this love for everybody. It doesn't matter what's going on in your mind on whatever level. We all had the experience that we are with this divine being, and Baba took us wherever we were. If we need a million lifetimes or one, it doesn't matter. He gave us the feeling we're all with God. And it doesn't matter if it's Shastriji or Muniradi or Pujari or Gayatri or Kumuli or Shashi. He gave us that feeling that we're all with him. And it doesn't really matter. I think it's pretty much destined if things fall in place. We have these oneness experiences that we go beyond the little me that you speak about so much, and I enjoy also so much to speak about it, to fall in that place which is beyond, where you feel very close, melted with Babaji. But that's just sometimes happening. And Kumuli, you share it so beautiful. Your truthfulness is touching everybody's heart, because it does not really matter. You know you are with God, and if it takes one lifetime or 100, Eckhart Tolle often said, well, for some people they have to experience so much suffering, and then at one moment they just click and they get it. The whole mind crumbles and they're on the other side. So it is hard to say enlightenment, whatever it is, but with Babaji, he saw us all as enlightened. For him, we were all enlightened. That kind of perception I had being around him. For he didn't see any problem.
That's interesting. Okay. That's really interesting.
At the time also, like you, Kumuli, when I was with Babaji, I was very jealous of people getting more than me, or being pretty, and being close to him. I mean, I had all those human emotions. And as we age and as we walk our paths, they fall away. They just don't matter anymore. None of that stuff, because it's not that little me comparing and trying to be better, all that shit. Poof, swaha. Goodbye. Yeah, so I really love how honest and beautiful your sharing has been. Thank you.
Thank you. I have one story I want to tell you. It was about it. I happened to be there for 3 Christmases, 1980, 81, and 83. And I was on a fruit diet. Babaji put me on a fruit diet. And oh yeah. So I was on a fruit diet, and I had asked to do Mundam. This is the second story. This is not the story I thought of telling. But I will get back to it. But because I asked Babaji if I could do Mundam, and he laughed and he said, yes, 6 days a week. And I asked if I could do Mundam for 9 months, because Leonard Orr had said that if you do Mundam for 9 months, you will reach physical immortality. And I wanted physical immortality. So I asked if I could do Mundam, and he laughed and said yes. He said not once a week, 6 days a week. So I was doing Mundam, and I was on this fruit diet, only eating fruits. But then people said to me in Harakan, they said, oh, when you're on a fruit diet, you can have nuts, and you can also have milk, they said. And I did not like milk. There I have another story about he reading my thoughts. But I was in Stockholm, shaving my head 6 days a week, eating fruits and nuts. But now and then I ate pizza too. I couldn't keep it up, you know, and ice cream because it was milk. So I mean, I didn't follow the diet. And then I was gonna do this for 9 months. And then when 9 months came, I stopped doing Mundam. And then a couple of weeks later, someone pointed out, they said, but you only did it for 8 months. So I had been calculating wrong, and I stopped before. I was doing these things, and I was never really doing them right. But at this time, it was in 1981, I was in Harakan for 3 months, and it was over Christmas. And Christmas is I was very sensitive to Christmas, and this year he did not acknowledge me. It was a Jew. It was many people, and he told us. He said that many people will come, but you are not allowed to hoard any food. And since I was on fruit diet, I had to pay my own food. And I felt it was very unjust that I had to pay for my food when everyone else was getting food and so on. But anyway, for Christmas, we were not supposed to hoard any food. So on Christmas Day morning, the shop was empty. There was nothing. And I could not go to the bandara because it was vegetables. And I felt so sorry for myself. And there was a bakery at the Gufa side, and the baker, he gave me some nuts. But Christmas and no food and no gifts from Babaji, no acknowledgement, nothing. And I felt so sorry for myself. And then, and seeing all these people getting all these gifts. And then late in the evening, 10, 11 o'clock, when I went to my bed, in a big sleeping hall, I had a little altar for Babaji. And when I come to my bed, my Babaji altar is just full of the most incredible fruits. And so Babaji was giving me all these fruits. And it was once again through a devotee. There was a devotee who had bought all those incredible fruits for Babaji, but he never got the chance to give it to Babaji. He forgot the key to his room, or he didn't see Babaji, So he was having all these fruits, and he never got the chance to give it to Babaji. So he gave it to my altar.
Wow. Amazing.
Amazing.
You got it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was.
I think Mohan has had his hand up. Mohan, did you want to speak?
Yeah, I had a couple of questions.
Are you going to show your face?
Yeah. I need to just make sure that I'm sitting behind the monitor. Yeah, thank you very much for sharing your even innermost emotions and thoughts. And between the first time you met and now, when you came to know that Babaji knew all the thoughts, that there could be two things, right? One is being scared that he knows everything, or completely opening up and sharing all the thoughts that comes to you to him, because he knows anyway. So it may not be 0 or 100%, and it could be one way or other, sometimes more, sometimes less. And what were your state in different kind of situations, when you got scared or when you opened up more to him?
Well, mostly I try to control my thoughts, today, if I would meet him, I would be much more open than at that time. And it was most often a struggle to feel at ease with him. And also how manipulative I was, If, for instance, the first time I came, I gave him, I was supposed to give him something. And I gave him a candlelight of glass, not very expensive. I loved it very much. And I gave it to him. And he placed it on his asana, and he kept it there all through Christmas. And the second time I came, I gave him a silver bracelet that was antique, expensive, but I did not like it. And, you know, so I gave him something I didn't like. It was expensive. And I went up, I greeted him, I gave it to him. I went back to sit down. And he had this disciple, Gura Devi. You heard about her, Gura Devi?
Yep.
Did you meet her?
No, I never met any one of them. Yeah.
Okay.
I never met
So-
Gaura Devi or Babaji.
Okay, so she was very close with Babaji. And she was very thin. And she had this big silver bracelet. He had given it to her. And it looked ridiculous on her arm. And I was so upset with Babaji that he gave it to her because she did not appreciate it, you know. And you know, it was just, you know, it was just, it did not look nice on her. She did not appreciate it. And so he was just mirroring, you know.
Good, thank you.
And then I was angry, of course, felt sorry for myself, blah, blah, blah. Yeah.
One of the,
Yeah, I have.
oh, go ahead.
Yeah, I have. The second part of it was so nowadays you do get angry and you do this one, but now you are aware of it, right? When it happens, you immediately catch it. How fast you catch it? I mean.
Yes, yes, yes.
Okay.
I catch it fast, and it's not my normal state anymore.
Okay.
You know, so it feels, you know, yeah, and I don't get trapped in it. If I get really trapped, if I get trapped in it and I can't deal with it myself, you know, I ask for help for someone. I cannot stand it. You know? Yeah.
Okay. Thank you so much for sharing all of
You're
this.
welcome.
Very.
Kumuli, I wanted to comment on, you talked about, you know, you weren't aware of how long this journey was going to be, and probably most of us are not. But you said, I loved how you said, but it's joyful. You know, I see people who are, you know, it is a journey for many of us, and but some people are always so upset or sad that they're not there yet, rather than just loving the journey we're on, which is quite beautiful, particularly filled with Baba's love. And now it also sounds like your natural state is more the state of connection and oneness and, you know, and love. And so that when you get, you know, when you move out of it with jealousy, anger, judgment, whatever things come into our head, which are usually motivated by fear of some kind, you know, it's so unnatural. It's like, no, I got to do something. And I have some things I know what to do. And
Yeah.
I think that's so beautiful, because we are here and we are going to be on our path, and we're going to run into, Baba said, there's going to be mountains to climb, and the mountains will fall down, and that's what's up. But we don't have to be cranky about it all the time. We can also enjoy. So, Gayatri, go ahead, and then I see Nalini wants to. Oh, okay, maybe.
Okay, I just
Go ahead,
want to
Gayatri.
add something. I think it's really helpful because all the things that we come up against and reactions we have are our own perceptions, and they're based on our own conditioning and our own traumas and our own everything. And so, like when you say Gora didn't appreciate the bracelet, that was your perception in that moment, but that doesn't mean that's a fact that she didn't appreciate the bracelet.
No.
You know, so that's why I think it's really helpful to just realize that all of our perceptions are based on our conditioning, and so they're not the case. They're not true. They're just true for us because that's how we see them, but they're not. They're just perceptions. Yeah, I just wanted to add that.
That's right. Yes. Yes.
Gora's disciple.
Thank you.
May I ask anyone who were there during the Christmas time frame? I read somewhere, probably in I'm Harmony book, that Babaji said that people will get the vision of Jesus. So I was wondering if anyone can share what it was like seeing Jesus, feeling about the vision.
We can't wait to see you. Love you.
Oh, didn't you play Jesus, the Christmas play in '83?
Yeah.
You were Jesus, I was the angel.
Yeah, it's lovely to share it. That was my experience of I had to play Jesus in '83.
I remember.
I
remember. I remember.
Okay,
You were reading the mountain speech.
Yeah, the Sermon of the Mount. I have to give this Sermon of the Mount. Wow, amazing.
It was beautiful.
But I was very busy. I had hardly time to practice with the group, but because I was doing the puja in the temple, I remember at that time. So I was very busy, but they wanted me to play Jesus, but it was beautiful. It's everything is with Baba. We were so lifted in another dimension, or we wish one day would be like I can say a week or a month, but the intensity of one day would be like, let's say, a month in my normal life from the past. Now this intensity is sometimes growing again, but to be in Babaji's energy and in the ashram, or let's stand the day of Christmas, it is such an intensity of an inner aliveness, awakeness, and transformation, what you're perceiving, and the people you meet, the messages you get. It's like so overwhelming, like it's an overload of intensity in the ashram and around Babaji. So that came out, I think, for everybody. But I can't really have a clear answer. Did I perceive Christ? I think Christ is this inner opening. If everything's gone, if you are gone, you're in Christ consciousness. And that happened many moments for me around Babaji. It doesn't matter if it's 5 minutes in the morning sitting with him. I had many of those moments, and I'm sure you also had. Often we don't even realize it or recognize it, but because it's our natural state when we don't make problem. If the mind is gone, we're in that. So it was very easy, and for me, to have many of those moments around Babaji. Every day there were moments that my mind was completely perplexed or gone, or I don't know, I just was functioning like the happiest person in the world. And so that was Christ consciousness for me. Yeah.
Yes, and Mohan, I saw Jesus in Pujari.
Me too. I was not there, but I seen Jesus in Pujari while meeting many Guru Purnimas, and all his dedication and love to the people and sharing and opening the heart. The very first time in July 7th and 9th, oh my God, when I came to Switzerland Guru Purnima, and I met Babaji, very short, I'll share. in my dreams, and the temple was built, and I don't know how all those things happened without knowing Babaji, nothing, Ramloti knows my journey, but nothing I knew, and I met you. And only dream I had when I went to Guru Purnima to meet all those people who met Babaji. This was the biggest dream of I was, and when I reached Guru Purnima, everybody met Babaji, and I was looking like the first interaction I have with Hari Govind Baba. And I told him the same thing. And he sang this Kabir, one of the Doha, the Lali dekhan main chali jit dekhun tit lal. Like means that the light I was finding, now I'm seeing the light in everyone. And I was like so much high to see everybody met Babaji. And I wanted to almost like touch everyone and feel, and how wanted to know everything. How did they feel? And I met Pujari, everybody, and I felt like, oh my God, they were also so Babaji themselves, So I would say I seen the Jesus and Pujari when the very first time I see.
And I remember the lines because I got to come out with sparklers, those things.
Oh, okay. Oh my God.
And I say, fear not, for behold, I bring you tidings of great joy. For unto you is born a savior. And I mean, it was so funny, that whole play. But
Beautiful.
I have to admit that on Christmas, on the actual day, I was really in a bad way because it was pouring rain. And we had this tent, and we had to go for prasad on the Gufa side. And it was so wet. And they gave me a bowl of khichdi that had about an inch of water on the top. And I was just like thinking of my family at home, turkey, everything. And oh shit, this Christmas. Blah. I was really in a bad thing. And I had, it was because I had found this robe. You see Baba in it all the time in the pictures, red with gold trim. And I gave it to him on Christmas morning.
Oh,
And he acted like it was awful. It was so beautiful. And he acted like it was awful. And he threw it to the side, and he got rid of the box. And in the box was the sash. It was like a beautiful bathrobe, but I thought on him, it would be just perfect. Anyway, so he threw it, and he pulled out for me a scarf, a box. He had a box of little chunies that he gave everybody, nothing special. Nobody got something beautiful. So we all just got these things, and it was very mechanical. And I thought, oh shit, this is really awful Christmas. I don't know. And then that night, it was time for the Americans to do the puja to him. And he walks in. No, he didn't walk. He glided in like this, like in my robe with the sash. Oh my God. I couldn't do the puja. I was crying so hard. I had snot. I was doing the puja, and I had to like wipe my nose because I was crying so hard. How he walked in with that robe. And it just made me feel so stupid and so lacking faith to feel how I had felt about this Christmas, when in the end, he just came like the Star of David. I mean, he was just unbelievable. So Mohan, that also was Christ that night for me, for sure. He was
Thank
so
you.
beautiful.
That's lovely.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, that was Avinash. Avanish.
Yeah.
So I just want to tell folks that I just talked to Maria Elena. She thought it was tomorrow. And so I told her to get on. So I'm trying to watch. If anybody sees Maria Elena get on, let me know so I can highlight her. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank
I
you.
don't see her.
Not yet. Yeah.
Jonathan, I love you in the beard. My God, you're looking so handsome now. I miss you, brother.
I haven't been able to get around to shaving for a
I'm
while.
coming soon. I'm coming soon. Every day, I'm dreaming to be there, and you don't know when I just drive, I'm just, maybe next week, I'm just looking opportunity to come. But I wanted to give you a big hug, and I love you, and it's so good to see you.
I look forward to seeing you.
Yeah, so that Ramloti.
And I've heard you're a grandma now.
Yeah.
I am a grandma. I'm an old lady now, but I'm very happy. I'm just feel very blessed. I'm living in the moment to moment and understanding through this new 18 months old, the human instincts and everything, now it's not just the grandma. I'm learning the human journey, how we bonds with so many things. And, I would like to share while everybody is there. My granddaughter is 18 months old. Since she born, I spent already 7 months with her. And I was like, teach by being an Indian mother, Gayatri mantra every day. I was sharing an Om Namah Shivaya, and I put her hand on her head, and now she puts her hand by herself and she bowed to Babaji. Suddenly in this trip 1 week back, now she doesn't like that. And she loved, I sing to her Ananda Rupam, that I pray every day. And she continues keep asking me, more, you sing more. Even on the online, she come and anything like if I sing the nursery rhyme, she would say, no. And then I say Ananda Rupam, she say yes. And she'll sit like that and she'll listen. And then she will say more. So it's just,
That's
it's
beautiful.
just amazing human
Congratulations.
journey. Yeah, I mean, never know, how does this human, it's 18 months only, doesn't speak nothing, but I'm just learning through her, the life and the how, it's just beautiful. But I'm going to,
Congratulations, Shashiji.
Avinish, so good to see you.
Good to see you.
Yes.
I was just thinking, as you said that, we're talking about the journey and how Babaji is always everywhere, and sometimes shows up as a little 18-month-old baby, or somebody who just shows up, like Gayatri was saying, where we meet so many kind of people, and I get to continually look at how I'm like you, Kumuli, where sometimes I don't want to be seen with a person or something like that. When I do that, it doesn't feel good, like you said. But it's, Baba constantly puts us in those positions to see how we're doing and see what we've learned.
Yes.
And see
Yeah,
when we can be in that spaciousness that we are all one, and that this is Baba's dance, the Divine Mother's dance, and it's gone on for millions and millions of years, and yeah. So, anyways,
Yeah, that I want to ask Kumuli, because we speak about often. I've seen this purity in Babaji and this playfulness and this childlike behavior. He could pick his nose or be very beautiful and relaxed with his body. There's nobody so beautiful, moving and organized. But I saw like a child in him, an innocent, pure child, even a baby kind of purity and beauty. Shashi is mentioning with her granddaughter, she has this experience. But can you say something, Kumuli, about how you see that in Babaji, that purity of a very small child, and how he reacted or behaved?
Yes. When we were sitting for always around him, you could,
right.
It could shift, he was so fast in his expressions, that quite often when I bowed down to his feet, he took his toes on my nose and did like this, I don't know how he managed to do it, but he often played with my nose when I was doing pranam to him. And so that's a sign of his playfulness. Om Namah Shivaya. Om Namah Shivaya. Hari Om Baba. Yeah. So, playful. Actually, he was often serious with me because I was so serious. So he used to look very seriously at me. And once, you know, I felt I was the biggest problem for him in the whole universe. And that is my ego. How large my ego was. So he was, but as once I was walking behind him on the riverbed, and he was crossing the riverbed, going from Agofa to the ashram. And he was stepping into the water, so his footstep was wet on the stones. And I put my feet on his steps. And then he stopped at the chai shop in the riverbed. And he asked me, he sat down inside, and he called me in. And he said, so we sat close together, and he put his arm, this part of the upper arm, next to mine, and we became one. There was no separation between my upper arm and his upper arm. So it was how close he was to me. I mean, I understood it as he showed how close he is. I don't need to follow in his steps because he is so close.
Beautiful.
And that was that experience. You know, I will never forget it. Yeah, because I was one with his body. And this part of my body was one with his body. And that's a very remarkable feeling. Because if you and I would sit next to each other, you know, we would think it's close. But it's a big distance from what I experienced merging with Babaji's body. But it was just a small part of my body.
Beautiful.
But yeah, I mean, Babaji was playing all the time and laughing and being beautiful, and then being very serious.
Yeah, he was Shakespeare and the greatest actor on the stage at the same time. Giving us all roles, you pujari, you do this, you a shopkeeper, you do this, you do sweeping, you do this, you do cooking. He organized everything in a very playful way.
I want to tell you about my name. I wanted a spiritual name. And I thought, you know, it would help me. And I really wanted him to give me a name, but he didn't. And I went it 1 day, 2 days, 3 days, 4 days, 5 days, and I went many, many days. And then one day I went up to him and I said, may I have a name? And he said, Kumuli. I was so happy. I went down and I said, then I thought, oh, I wonder what it means, you know, and I thought it means probably, you know, Queen of Lights or something appropriate, you know. So I go up, and then I had to, Guradeva has to translate, you know, so I say, what does it mean? And she says it in Hindi to Babaji. And then she cracks up laughing. And she says, pumpkin. So my name is Pumpkin. And actually, I love when people call me Kumuli. I love it. And it's once again the same thing as with the grass straw. Whatever Babaji gives you is it's a blessing, you know.
Right, right. There's only one Kumuli in this world.
Yeah. And then there is this story, you probably shared it in this group before, about Babaji. There is a painting, there is supposed to be a painting of Babaji where you see his right hand offering, open hand, and then his left hand is hidden under a shawl. And it symbolically, he gives, with the right hand, he gives what you ask for. And in the left hand, he keeps what he wants to give you, until you're ready to receive it. So apparently I wanted the name Queen of Light. So what he does for the Christmas is I had to organize some Swedish tradition for Christmas. So I came up with the Santa Lucia that we celebrate big in Sweden. And it's a woman, it's a few days before Christmas, and she comes in a white gown. It actually comes from Italy, and she has candles in her hair, and she offers coffee and bread in the morning. And then there are girls and boys singing Santa Lucia. And so I taught this to the devotees, and I made a crown of metal somehow, So I was Santa Lucia for Babaji in the Kirtan hall. So for a couple of minutes, I was the Queen of Light. So that is, how he blesses.
Right.
Hello, Maria Elena. I did not recognize you.
Another Queen of Light has appeared.
There she
Oh,
is.
so happy to see you. God, wonderful.
Wonderful. Yeah. You look so good. Great.
Thank you. I'm sorry I'm so late. I was taking a leisurely shower, thinking it was tomorrow. I for all my awareness, everything told me tomorrow, and I apologize because I feel, but always for Baba, he pulls his leelas so that you cannot really bullshit or prepare, or you have to come as you are. That's the only way he wants to deal with me, at least.
Mm-hmm. Beautiful. Maria Elena, perhaps you could share about your journey. We've had wonderful satsang with Kumuli, and we'd love to hear more of your journey now too, of how did you get to Baba, what happened, how has it transformed we've had some of your students here, and they said, you have to get Maria Elena on this satsang. They've been telling us that. So go ahead.
It's been my whole life. After there's a life before Baba, and then there's a life after Baba. And the life after Baba is absolutely infinite. Did we go off? Did my thing go off?
Or? No, you're fine.
Back. You're
making sure everyone's muted here.
No, it's an alignment. It's the gift that keeps on giving. It's eternal. When I was there in shock initially, because I expected, and that's a long ways away. And my ego mind just went berserk, literally. No, I didn't have a nervous breakdown, but I mouthed a lot of impurities and insanities because I couldn't understand, you know, English name to Western women and Hindu name to Western women and Western name to Hindu women. You know, Om Namah Shivaya. And to me, to my ego mind, the rocks that were moved from here to there were wiped out by the river at night. What difference did it make? I mean, that's the linear, everything has to account for something. But when I got still angry, it wasn't a peaceful surrender. But I had 2 daughters there. And the greeting had said, why your mama come take you home? From the beginning. So when I was upset, nobody would respond from my daughters. They would say, no, he said it from the beginning. You came to take us home. If you want to, you can go. I'm not about to leave my two of my 3 precious daughters there. So I swallowed. I did not surrender. But I continued to keep an eye open and buy time. And one day I found myself meditating. Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya. Angry, Om Namah Shivaya. And I began to literally release and float and experience what I now understand as a very deep samadhi. But I didn't know shit. I didn't know anything. So I would come back in peace and I would look around and I would go, Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya, and off to oblivion until I started getting conscious that you could float and you could be here and that you could go and do a lot of things. And so internally there became a space that opened me up through the distrust that I felt. And it went all of these years, 36 years. We were in Kamalaya last February, and there was a small group of people we were doing a heart attunement to one's own connection, essence, using dreams and meditation. And for me, always the trust of the Babaji heart. So one of the women that were there come from San Francisco. And there were 2 women that even before we entered were at odds. And I thought, oh my. But as we entered, the Hindu woman in devotion for what she was feeling, got up and said loud, it took my Western friends to get me to my roots and my devotion. And I fell to the floor. Who cannot? That was one of my biggest obstacles. You know, why Ramloti is Ramloti and why everybody has Hindu names. And then the Hindu people would have Western names, many of whom I met. But to me, see, that woman I had never met, that was a friend of Jacqueline's. And they come from another school of training. that is called the Diamond Heart. It's a very beautiful, expansive teaching, but it's very different. She was Jacqueline's friend, and she was, in a way, pitting initially, like, what am I doing here? But when she saw Babaji's temple, when she saw when the love and the devotion befell her, after that is when we had come to the circle. That was optional. All of them had gone. But when she came and realized that the Western setting and the Western friends had led her to that connection, she bowed to the ground just like I did, and like I continue to do. And many, many, many things. I'm gonna show something. Let me see if I can do this. Can you see that?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, yeah.
Yes.
See, that's
Painting.
that's a Babaji painting.
Mm.
That's a Babaji painting from one of his books, from one that he said, it caught my heart. Okay, now this, can you see it?
Yeah, we can see it good. Yeah.
It has, of course, not exactly the same. That came from, I've never been there, from somebody that brought it back from Peru, from a shaman that has never been out. And that was his cosmic vision in meditation. And that was another deep connection, that in that absolutely freestyle with which he did Babaji, his painting. For me, for 36 years, I had the colors circling. And when I saw this, I realized that that's where Babaji meets us, through what we are, where we are, the essence, Before I left, past all of these things, and one of the awareness that I had was, if we could go back to the world and have the same trust that the person in front is not there to harm us. See, it's a resonance, it's a mirror, and that's what I had been told. There's beautiful prayers. If you're sad, I'm sad. If you're suffering, I'm suffering. But this was in real life. The face you presented, he pushed back at you. And you had an attitude, he pushed it back at you. At one time, I would see him do this, and I would swear that he was hitting people. It was another one of my pet peeves at the beginning, for my family constellation background. And when I was able to dislodge all the pain projections residue onto him, I had the awareness that if that's the only thing I could bring back, even that would be until death do me part. And as time went by, it has helped me in the most difficult of times to be able even to re-enter here and to start serving in the way that I was guided. But when difficult circumstances would come, I would close my eyes and I would internally pretend this is Babaji, the essence. The face may change, but the wave of the heart of love that Babaji instills in us is eternal. And it has continued to be eternal. I'm now 82 years old. Soon I'll be leaving, but not because of COVID or because of an illness. I have seen the whole spectrum. And if I were to say one thing, Babaji consistently in the frequency or the purity has led me not only to how to serve, which is my own humble way, but how to assist myself from a very difficult pattern of, I want to say illnesses, but it's not an illness. It's a way of transformation. In the family that I was born, at 9 months, I had diphtheria. So it was like a hangman because I was not even 9 months and they had to hospitalize and give a dose and a half of adult serum. So they warned my mother that because it was so much serum and it's not biodegradable, that for life I would have problems with the liver. You don't know what that means until you start growing up, because the liver has been the focus, but my body, at times, the Western diet, the lack of exercise, the imbalances for me would show in severe flashbacks. But the trust that Babaji in the heart is a frequency, not a somehow, through having my daughters there, through having been from Mexico, through having received the family background that I did, past the difficulties, the Bole Baba has been, the only thing that no matter what sustains me and has given me again and again and again. Not things, but that inner strength that at one time I would pray because, the diphtheria was followed by rheumatic heart, was followed by tonsillectomy before I was 2 years old. It's a lot of hospitalizations. At 9 years, I was bitten by a dog. At 27, I had cervical endometrial, stage 4 cancer. Every one of these is a ticket out. See? And with a very weakened body, the strength of what I experienced 3 times in his presence continues to serve I serve how I'm taught, what I was told, that if I did my work, and my work was to help those that come to lose the fear to be themselves, to lose the fear, in other words, that this divine Baba is one and only, and that it is within us, you know, and that if we can stay close to that, everything else unwinds, and the wave takes, the wave brings, the wave takes. It has taken a lot of, I prayed, give me the strength to live the life as life seeks to live through me, not me be telling out of life what I think I want. It's reversing it. And for me at 82, it has worked, because for the last, I've done my work, I've served, I'm happy. 7 days ago, I had vertigo. See, my body is the healer, but it shows in out of balance before it lets me have the goodies. I got up and I had vertigo. I got up and I would go down to practically the ground from the waist down. I went to people here that I know very good, an osteopath that I know for 32 years. He says, your brain is not getting enough oxygen at night. And I said, no, that's not it. It's an energy twist, something. And then I remembered before I had been laying, that's okay. I started to be careful. Then something came shamanically that has to do with an egg healing. An egg healing, that you rub your egg. Healers in Mexico do it. I'm embarrassed to say there's an inner arrogance and lack of humility, lack of acceptance. So for whatever reason it came up, I prayed to Baba, as I always do. I connected, I did it. Well, to abbreviate it, it doesn't matter what happened to the lady. After that, I had a session, and the woman said, you should sit, without touching me, at the foot of the bed. She said, you should see the roots that are coming out. And I started to cry. The roots were owning back my roots, my humble roots. And it brought the energy, and I can now, go all around the house, all around the pool, all around the garden. And the vertigo was gone. It's, what else can I say? It's life itself. Life itself. There's before that, but then you can't really say the after. The lady that I did the egg for was on the phone. She was doing the egg. And I asked her to do it 4 times. Don't ask me why. She finished with the infinity sign here. I feel that was a sign for Baba. That, it's not usual. I had never heard of it. I had never done it either. But Bole Baba, there's no life without deep in trusting, especially in things as they are. It's
So beautiful
Nothing.
to hear you speak. So beautiful to hear your deep connection to Baba. I'm happy and almost proud to say that I've been in your seminars, luckily, to bring depth of the heart and humility and honesty in your circles that I've experienced. And also to mention that you took us to shamanic healers, which is life-changing experiences for me and my wife.
That's quite an experience on itself.
That
And
was on another level and a whole other dimension of healing and cleaning and work, and just acknowledge your connection with Baba and the mystical world. And you've served in such a wide way, and it's so beautiful to hear you speak.
to the ground, from the sky above to my heart, through
Right.
Baba's grace.
Right.
And I had to clean up my act from the earth to my heart, because that's where my it's funny how generational, the needs became a source. And then I understood that the needs or the source or the generational woundings. And when that grace is granted, it continues. But for me, I would never have been able to do it with Baba. Ever would not have. And that's what gave me, number one, the strength. Because most of them are very beautiful, but they don't see women. What is the world over? So you have to be very careful to be a woman facilitating, leading, and obeying at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
With mostly men.
Right.
And I'm proud to say that through Baba's heart, one of them, in the honor of Baba, took Jacqueline and I aside and said, I'm not the same, Senora, than before you and the group came. He was addressing me in English. He was African Mayan. He says, I'm not the same. He says, when you came, I hated my mother. She had sold him at age 4. He had seen it. He had seen the money cross over, so he was full of anger. When he became 12, his stepfather took him back to Africa, downloaded him on an African shaman, and left him, never to be seen again. So this little boy was developed psychic healer, surgery, healing, very, very powerful. He offered it to God, but his heart was still very wounded. And one of the last times that we spoke to him, he said, Senora, when you came, I hated my mother. At the funeral, I sent money, but I would not go. And he lowered his eyes and he says, now I realize that if she had not sown me, I would have never fulfilled my purpose. See, that's a wise man. He redeemed all the suffering to the right action of the divine to fulfill what he came to do, and the other let go. What it gave to Jacqueline and to me was the honoring of a very, very beautiful beautiful, proud, okay? Humbly surrendering to the flow of the love of the Divine Mother. You know, I would have no life if it had not been for Babaji. I would have never been able to go through without it. You know, and I look really well. Ram Loti, I had a pituitary tumor, you know, all that. But I am absolutely, I went to the Mayo Clinic 100% well. 6 years ago, 10 years ago, I needed double knee surgery. And 8 inches from the spinal stenosis. None. I can bend like a Babaji's grace. That's the way it took for me. You know, and the words that I heard. When I went to him, I must say this. The one thing that I wanted him to help me with, my husband did not want me to go. He did not take me to the airport. In other words, he was pretty definitive. So he said, if you mundan, if you shave, don't come back. Keep going. See, that's an ultimatum. So I knew we could get along. I knew I could handle it. But when I got to Babaji's, I had a headache. I don't get headache. But this was not a migraine. This is one of those that you want to tap your head against the wall until like a watermelon. And I could hear a voice that said, if you mundan, it'll go away. If you mundan, it'll go away. So I went to Babaji wanting, like a child, like an adolescent, the young Maria Elena. I still thought he could help me the way I wanted to. I could have my pie and eat it too. See? I wanted to get rid of the headache, but I didn't want to lose my husband. So I came to him and I said, Babaji, will you help me? What you want? And what you want? And I thought, he doesn't understand my Spanish English, nor do I understand his Hindi English. And in front of everyone, he would ask me again, what you want? And I would delineate seriously. And he would say, how many husbands you got? And I said, 2, Baba. Ha, ha, ha. I thought he had said, have you had? In the bad English, how many husbands you got? Oh, ha, ha, ha. One you like, one you don't like. And very serious, no, Baba. One I divorced and one that I don't want to lose. That's why I want your help. Okay. What you want? Well, 40 minutes of this, okay? And at the very, very end, he says, what you want? And I said, headache. If I'm mundan, no husband. But head hurts. And if I don't mundan, stay with the headache. I want your help. One more time. What you want? He made me repeat it ad nauseum. Okay. And at the very end, he taps his head. So what you want? This or this? Because this or that. And he says, ha, 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 ha. He claps his hands and he says, as you wish. He wouldn't take my decision. And it took me time to see that the connection to the divine includes all the men and all our children and all the husbands and all the boyfriends and all the babies and all the charities, but the divine Baba is only one. And that's the axis through which we dance as women in our pole dancing. And we serve in the honor and glory of God, of Baba. And the love is infinite, like that little thing that came up here, like a little helix. Yeah, I'm holding the phone. That's why I can put my hands together. I couldn't find something that could safely hold it. Ah, here it is. Ah, yes.
Thank you, really.
That's,
Can we ask the bigger group if anyone has a specific question for Maria Elena or for Kumuli I'm so glad you're able to get on for this time.
Oh, I am too. I am purple with apologies and
No,
and the joke, because that's the last thing that I would have wanted to do. But here we are, and I love it.
Kathleen has her hand up.
Go ahead. No.
Can you hear me now?
No, I just wrote in the chat. I thank you so much for sharing your stories, Maria and Kumuli. Tack så mycket. Wonderful stories.
Varsågod. Mm.
I just wanted to say thank you, Maria Elena. It's Kathleen Bowman.
Oh, Kathleen.
Yeah.
You're so close to there.
I am, and because of you, that's why I'm here. Because you have brought me to Crestone, you have brought me to Babaji, and you've brought me to love through your teaching me. Thank you so much for bringing me here, and thank you and yes, I was in some of those Mexico lips with the shamans, and those are life-altering moments. Truly life-altering.
You can add some of the, we head into weaving dreams. Where Kathleen would have a dream that she would carry out in the connection with Don Jorge, and the multi-layers, multi-dimensions, and still going around and around in meaning, infinite meaning. Thank you, Kathleen. Especially in Kamalaya.
Yes.
We almost started on fire before even starting. It's
yes, thank you for that experience also.
Sometimes it is those that shake us the most. Again,
sometimes it's what, Elena? Sometimes it's what?
The most shocking or the most shaking that could appear the most difficult at one point. Because it was a very miraculous experience to be in Kamalaye, with the full support of Babaji's temple, with the full support of Kamalaya, with a very small circle, and almost beginning on a uproar, and it's alchemy. It's truly transformation, and that is my experience of what Babaji taught each of us. The transformation of our projection. Because when I was looking at him hitting, I could swear I would have put my head through and I would have thought I was right. See? When I handled my releases in Herakan, the same hand was sending blessings. And I would see the ecstasy and would receive the ecstasy. But the phenomenon, the traspaso is called, that you can see what you have inside, was very real, because I would see him with a hand like that and my mind would make up the rest, not to a very happy ending in my own having to reposition myself in relationship. It comes back to the prayers of, who is it, Saint Francis? Give me the courage to change the things I can. You know, the patience to let go, to surrender to those that I cannot change. But then listen to your heart before your mind begins to think. Then the wisdom to know the difference. And that's what wisdom stands for. That's what Babaji for me has done over the last 36 years. It's four cycles of 9 years. To me, it's a very important 9. 9 months in the belly, 9 months where the feminine cycle of co-creation repeats itself. It's just, but something solidifies and becomes in that multiple of 9 a new beginning. That's why the 8. It's not numerology, it's just intuition. It's not that I have studied it. It's what it gives back, feeds back. And in every way, every one of us starting new.
Thank you so much, and thank you, Kumuli, both.
I'm
Thank
sorry
you for
I missed
inviting
you,
me.
Kamuli.
Yes, but I'm so glad you came. And you
I'm
look
so
so
sorry.
well. You look so well. I did not recognize you first. I saw you many years ago, and you look so much better today.
That's what I'm telling you. I'm better
Yeah.
right now. I was in a wheelchair 6 years ago, and I
Yeah.
was on a walker,
Yeah.
and it's all the sweeping that we call jara is one of the blessings that I received from Babaji. The initiation to be able to do it. It was above my paycheck because I didn't know that women were not supposed to be, you know.
No, I didn't know that.
No, but then I I read it somewhere, someone stating that they were the only one. And I said, no, that's not the only one. I'm two. You two, there's several. But it's the only one means that it's unusual that women get on that. Not that it never happened. And not that it's so special. I'm the only one. But we go back to, to you know what? Childhood and the sibling rivalry with mama and with brothers and sisters, me the only one. No, it's the whole world. And as part of that, and to me, Babaji is the only one.
Yeah, thank you to everyone. Thank you.
Infinite faces. Brujoy, a beautiful teacher, many of us used to say, and I would always take it as Baba's face, the faces can change, see, but the wave of the heart and the flow is eternal. The faces can go. We make out of that and bring in. The heart is the eternal connection.
Right.
And I could go, people that I have met that have been important, when there is a little dig, they're in the Himalayas at the Mount Kailash, receiving instructions for the next, and they say, that's the abode of Shiva. That's where Shiva comes and connects directly. And, I always go, Baba, it's almost too much because there's no place where he has not shown his face and the connection to me. Sooner or later. It's good to see you, Katrina. Maybe she's left. Anyhow, much love.
Thank you.
Much love.
Such depth in both of your sharings.
Yeah,
Thank you so much. Thank you. And I do want to invite you all to come back next week. Pujari and Hiraman will be sharing, and a lot of time, particularly for many people's questions too, if you have more questions.
How does it work? Did you send out a link?
Same, every week, same time.
Same link as today.
Yes, and same day, same time is next week. The week after will be 1 hour earlier to accommodate Alok Banerjee and Meena Chandra in India. So it'll be an hour earlier for us, but normally we try to keep it at the same time so we can all remember, and it's Saturday and same link. So after that, I can't remember who we have after that. But